Ah, yes, the true disaster before the real disaster 5 years later. Speaking of five, the countdown is five. 5 more years left to go. Welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. It's time to begin a brand new year, 2017. And we've got 2 weekends for you with 4 films in general to take a look at for January 6th and January 13th. And the only movie coming out on January 6th is Underworld Blood Wars, the 5th and final installment in the Underworld series, and I think I speak for everybody when I say, thank God, man, because, man, these movies got old really fast. Underworld Blood Wars follows vampire death dealer Selena, played by Kate Beckinsale again, as she fends off brutal attacks from both the Lycan clan and the vampire faction that betrayed her. With her only allies David, played by Theo James from Divergent, and his father Thomas, played by Charles Dance, she must stop the eternal war between Lycan and vampires, even if it means she has to make the ultimate sacrifice. Which, you know, once you go to a modern world in the last movie, shouldn't that have been the final part of this whole thing? But no, Underworld is a cash cow franchise, so of course they got to make another one. And yeah, needless to say, this one in particular was the one that literally broke the camel's back, because yeah, it really was not that good. And like I said before, it was a series that got old really fast. I mean, the concept at the beginning was pretty cool, vampires and werewolves going at each other, but you know, kind of like how Twilight thought that idea was cool at first, but then you realize that the author is somebody that probably has never even seen movies like this. Yeah, that was a bad example of what vampires versus werewolves should look like. Meanwhile, this, where they did have some opportunities with vampires and werewolves overall, but then this is the end result of that, of a movie series that is, it's just overstayed its welcome, man. I mean, there's nothing about this movie that really merits another film being made here. It's just a film that's being made to essentially build up another potential series in the franchise, which this did not. This was the last film of the series, even though this did make back its budget and then some. People were just sick and tired of it already. That was Underworld director Len Wiseman calling me. He was basically telling me, stop talking about my wife's movies. No, I'm not going to stop talking about them. Actually, no, that was a phone call I had to take, but I'm already more than 2 minutes into this review, so no, I'm not going to redo this again. This movie series does not deserve a clean review from me, honestly. I mean, what more can I really say about this movie that hasn't already been said? It's a boring movie, and a franchise that had so much potential to it early on, but then just kind of fell into the same territory that Scream Jazz's other big franchise, Resident Evil, which they will have a sequel coming up later in the month. Apparently this month was filled with nothing but sequels that nobody was asking for. Underworld, Resident Evil, CLIPLESS. That one we'll get to next time around, but yeah, Underworld, Blood Wars. Yeah, be grateful that the blood is finally gone from this franchise, because yeah, we didn't need to see another one of these movies, and I think, quite frankly, everyone else didn't want to see another one of these movies. So let's go to the 13th of Friday, January. It's Friday the 13th of January, 2017. Let's do that with the 3 films that we have here. Starting off with a couple of notable stinkers, and I mean stinkers, including our first film, The Bye-Bye Man. Wow, that's somewhat legitimately intriguing. Too bad none of that stuff is in the actual movie. And by the way, you have a movie called The Bye-Bye Man, and yet you don't have one single scene like this.
No, it's a trick!
You had one job, movie, and you failed at it miserably. You fail miserably, director Stacey Tidal, which I probably should not say, because this was the last thing she directed, because she passed away from ALS a couple of years later. So, I mean, yeah, I didn't like the movie, but I mean, I don't have anything against her per se, but or him per se. Is it a guy or a girl? I don't know. I've never seen this person's work before. It's a girl. She directed. Wait, did she do Last Supper? That name sounds familiar. Yeah, I wanted to see that movie, The Last Supper, that back in 1995 with Cameron Diaz and Jason Alexander. It's one I never got around to seeing, but yeah, how you go from that to this? But I mean, yeah, that's the first time I'm seeing it. I've heard about this person for a long time, but yeah, I was surprised that it was from the same person that did that. But But anyway, the Bye-Bye Man. When three college students move into an old house off campus, they unwittingly unleash a supernatural entity known as the Bye-Bye Man, who comes to prey upon them once they discover its name. The friends must try to save each other, all the while keeping the Bye-Bye Man's existence a secret to save others from the same deadly fate. What happens when the Bye-Bye Man gets you? I don't know. The movie doesn't know either, apparently. But then again, it's probably this writer's fault in general. But then again, this person also worked on that same movie, The Last Supper. I mean, these are good people involved in this movie. Hell, the casting overall. You got Carrie-Anne Moss, Faye Dunaway, Doug Jones. An idea that sounds intriguing overall, but the original idea, not the idea that they have here, because they basically just made it Friday the 13th, not Friday the 13th, the Nightmare on Elm Street knockoff, and a bad one. I mean, this one just, this was a boring ass movie, man, that doesn't even know what direction it wants to go in. Like, there's scenes in this movie that are laughingly bad. Like, there's a scene in the 1960s that takes place in the 60s where you have this woman and her husband, her husband's going off on these crazy theories, and all of a sudden he just pulls out a shotgun out of nowhere, and it's just like, I mean, the way it's presented is so silly and so stupid, but, I mean, to its credit, there are those little bits and pieces there where it does look like a film that is a so bad it's good type of movie, but, yeah. So I guess on that front, maybe I recommend it as a guilty pleasure or so bad it's good type of a film, but I wouldn't rush anybody out to see this film in general. It's not a good film at all. It's really not, but, hey, I'll recommend it more than our next movie, Monster Trucks, which you would think that this movie, The Bye-Bye Man, would have the most bizarre production story history behind it, but no. This one, Monster Trucks, wait until you hear this.
Heroes. Monster Trucks. Rated PG.
Yeah, you can clearly tell that this movie wasn't made many years ago. Give you kind of an idea of how long ago this film was shot. When that film was shot, Lucas Till was not what he was at that point. He was MacGyver on the reboot of MacGyver that had just premiered on CBS that year. Jane Levy had grown up. I mean, she was still coming off of Suburgatory at that point, but she was just in Don't Breathe. When you watch this movie, you can feel that this movie was clearly made in a different time, in a different span of. It's not the year before, but this thing was shot nearly 3 years ago. Nearly 3 years ago. Like, it's just, I mean. And yeah, they tried to trick you with this cool-looking homage 80s style poster, but no, don't be fooled by that. This movie is absolutely an example of what type of a film you put out in the dumping month of January, because yeah, you want people to forget this movie even existed, especially the bizarre story behind this movie. So as you can see, the plot for this movie, like I said, is very simple, where it's basically an E.T. knockoff, where you have a high schooler who finds an escaped monster living inside of his truck. You also have cast that includes Amy Ryan, Rob Lowe, Danny Glover, Thomas Lennon, Barry Pepper, Holt Mulcahy. These are all good actors here. This thing cost $125 million to make. So, I mean, what do I even need to say about the movie? This movie is shit. No, shit is an understatement. This is the cinematic equivalent of AIDS. That's how terrible this movie is. This whole movie seems like a bad joke, an insult to the movies of the 1980s, when this could pass for some kind of entertainment. This is basically the equivalent of Mac and Me. Except Mac and Me was at least so bad it's good. It's one of those guilty pleasure movies. If you're making a movie that makes Mac and Me look like E.T. by comparison, you have failed miserably. And like I said, Lucas Till and Jane Levy, don't ask me to take them as freaking high school students when I just saw them recently on an episode of the new MacGyver series and Justin Don't Breathe. So you already fucked up there, but here's the kicker right here. This is the story that really is the thing that makes you go like, what the hell were you guys thinking? So, the film apparently came together because this was the idea of the head of the studio's 13-year-old autistic son. That is actually true. There have been stories about this story, about how this kid's parent was the head of Paramount, and they basically wanted to make this movie. They even got Chris Wedge from Blue Sky Studios to come in and direct this movie for no reason whatsoever. And because of this, they had to cancel several different projects to get this made. Like, this thing is like, I mean, they said, so here's what it comes down to. What does it say about a studio when they say yes to a 13-year-old kid's idea of a movie while there are numerous writers still waiting to get a script greenlit? But keep in mind, this is Paramount Pictures. Like, even before, Trump and his cronies took it over, basically, this is the same studio that gave us Terminator Genesis, which, look how bad that turned out, and will give us Ghost in the Shell later in the year. That, a live-action reboot of an anime classic that does not need to happen, but someone made it happen. We'll get to that one in a couple months' time, but, fuck what you want to see. Here's our shit that we know you don't want to see, but fuck it. We like sucking the money out of you. Plus, we like making movies for our kids. Like, it's just, like, nobody in this movie is likable at all. None of the characters are likable. The monster is a bland looking figure. The bad guys are cartoonishly evil. There's nothing about this movie where nothing happens here whatsoever. And I mean, what do you gotta say? There's nothing about this movie that works. It's a god-awful mess of a movie. I have nothing nice to say about this movie. It's AIDS. It's the literal cinematic equivalent of contracting AIDS. Like, this is up there with one of the worst movies of the year. There's nothing about this that's worthwhile at all. It's garbage. It should have not only stayed on the shelf at Paramount, but it should have been destroyed in a landfill somewhere. And, take that shelf, throw it into a compactor, destroy the shelf, and then the movie, pour gasoline on the crushed shelf, set that fucker on fire, never think about this movie again. That's how bad this movie is. Like, it's AIDS. It's actually literal AIDS. Have you got the point yet? I hope you did, because, Monster Trucks is not good. So, let's go ahead and try to wrap this up on a slightly more positive note with the best movie of the week, which even then is really not saying a whole lot. Jamie Foxx in Sleepless.
What the hell is going on?
They have my son.
Find him.
Stay close. We're gonna get out of this. Where's my son? Sleepless. Rated R.
I really do think Jamie Foxx set that whole thing up just for his son to get kidnapped, because that all seemed way too timed out right there. But, I mean, for a movie called Sleepless, this is one of the most boring movies I've ever seen in my entire life, man. But with that said, it is still the best movie of the week, of the show, but that's not saying a whole lot. A police detective, Vincent Downs, played by Jamie Foxx, with a connection to the criminal underground, finds his secret life exposed when he and his partner, played by T.I., are caught stealing cocaine from a powerful drug lord, played by Scoot McNairy, a move that puts his son Thomas, Octavius J. Johnson's, life in danger. So yeah, it's better than Monster Trucks and The Bye-Bye Man, but then again, the shit that I took earlier today was much better than The Bye-Bye Man and Monster Trucks. I mean, that doesn't make it a great film overall. I mean, I remember when I saw it, I liked it okay. I thought Jamie Foxx did a pretty good job commanding the role in general. I mean, but other than that, though, it's basically kind of a Taken-ish, John Wick-ish generic crime plot, but with a slightly better script, because the writer of this also wrote Straight Outta Compton, which she got nominated for an Oscar for. I mean, she makes it more watchable than most of these movies of this type. The casting overall is not bad. Fox is pretty good. Octavius J. Johnson's not that bad. Gabrielle Union's pretty good. You don't even see Michelle Monaghan in that trailer there, even though she's second billed. Dermot Mulroney's okay, and this Scoot McNairy's pretty good. They do the job well. The only person I really didn't like in this was T.I., which, I mean, he's not a good actor at all. He just always comes off with that obnoxious dickhead who's double-crossing the main hero, and that's what happens here. He just does not have any acting charisma at all. And you're asking him to work off of Jamie Foxx, an Academy Award winner of all people. And yeah, this is why I don't like him as an actor. He's a great musician, but not as an actor. And that's okay. You don't have to be one of those. You don't have to be a guy that can do different types of genres. You can just stick to one thing you know, honestly. But the action scenes overall are kind of a mixed bag in general. Some of them are impressive. Other times, the time it looks like, wow, this was really bad. The music by Michael Camm's kind of generic. The cinematography tries a little too hard to be like Taken. I mean, really, this movie is boring the more I think about it. I remember liking it at first, but I bought it on Blu-ray when it came out. I never watched it on Blu-ray ever again, because I just never really had the need to watch it. Like, I mean, it's okay, I guess. It's a generic crime thriller that's basically saved by the cast and a couple of little nice sequences there. I put this on the same level as something like Bullet to the Head. Very generic, but still fun to watch. But like when they're supposed to get paired with this and Bullet to the Head on TNT in a few years, I would say watch it then. But It never did, so that probably tells you everything you know about the longevity of this movie here. But not much more to say about this except Sleepless. Hey, if you're having trouble getting to sleep, watch this movie because it'll put you right to sleep afterwards because of how boring it really is. Because it really is a snooze fest. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies. Next time around, we'll take a look at a movie that actually is good in the month of January. M. Night Shyamalan, following off his success with The Visit a couple years ago, directs Split with James McAvoy in it, and Anya Taylor-Joy, and you find out later on it's actually a sequel to one of his more successful movies. You know what one that is? If you don't, stay tuned because we'll touch on that. We'll also take a look at the sequel nobody was asking for, Vin Diesel returning as Xander Cage in XXX, Return of Xander Cage. We have Michael Keaton starring as Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's in The Founder, and we have The Resurrection of Gavin Stone. 4 films to take a look at next time around. We'll jump into those all in the next episode, so be on the lookout for that. With all that said, though, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.